How's everybody doing? You guys are watching Hogan Tech, and today I'm going to be going over the good and the bad for the Motorola Razr Plus or the 40 Ultra, whatever you want to call it. So there's a lot of things to talk about. I'm going to try to make it as short as possible. I don't want to take too much of your time. I will put chapters down below so you guys are aware. Really unfortunate thing ended up happening to me with this phone, and I want to start off by saying the first bad thing is how fragile it is. This was a very minimal fall. At the end of the day, I mean, you should be rocking the case. It's on me, but you will learn your lesson. It's very fragile. If you work out on the field, if you're always doing stuff out in the field, I don't recommend it. You can get a case, and the cases look like they do cover that area really well, so it will probably block and avoid it from getting damaged so badly. But the first thing of in the bad category is the fact that it's so fragile, and you don't want dirt getting in between the creases and all that stuff. So it was just upsetting how little of a fall it was inside my vehicle, and it caused it to be cracked. So just keep that in mind. Rock a case. That's one of the first bad things about this phone. Now my second thing in the bad category is how hot it can get. When you're setting it up, it can get pretty hot. I was running a hotspot and I was charging it at the same time, which could be a bad thing, bad combination. But you can see right here, it got really, really high. It actually was way higher. I think it was 120 something, but I didn't think of to download the app, take a screenshot of how hot it was. I did that last minute, but it got so hot, it was pretty concerning, and I thought it was going to start over. So it's just one thing to keep in mind. It can get pretty hot, even when you're setting it up at the beginning, and that could kill a phone. So just keep in mind it can get pretty hot. If it gets too bad, you might want to call Motorola or something like that. But mine's ended up getting a little too hot, and I was just slightly concerned. But it hasn't happened again. But still pretty bad. Now the third bad thing is not too crazy, but this thing only goes up to 30-watt charging, and that's wired. So wireless, it goes to 5 watt. That's extremely slow. Now I'm being a little greedy because I'm using the OnePlus 11 and I've been using it for a minute, and it's got like a 80-watt charger. So it just charges a little bit too slow. And just I wish they would at least add a 45, include the charger in the box so we can maximize it. No charger in the box and slow charging. That, in my opinion, is another bad thing of this phone. It's not serious, but I think it's a bad thing. Now, the fourth thing that I think is bad, again, is up to my preference. You don't have always on display, and I think it's very silly and a missed opportunity because it looks like it's capable of having a beautiful always on display. Because you can go in your settings, you can customize that screen right there in the lock. You can there's so many options for you to put. There's so many options for you to play with, but you can't. It doesn't allow you to have always on display. I think it's silly. Now the phone it barely has anything that's wrong with it. It's just me nitpicking. Biggest thing is that it's fragile, but it's silly. You should have it always on display. You shouldn't have to tap it every single time to get that on. It's such a needed feature, I think, in today's age. So let's go on and talk about the good now, because there's a lot of good. The first good thing about this is the display. It's got a gorgeous display. Not only does it have 165 Hz display with HDR10 plus, and it goes up to 1400 nits of brightness. Okay, it is big, 6.9 inches, and it just is phenomenal. And when you go outside, you're able to see. Sometimes you do have to bring it a little bit low in the Florida sun, but it just is one of the most beautiful displays I've seen on the phone, and it looks better than my OnePlus 11 and any other phone I have. So the display had me amazed, and I think you guys will too. Now, to add on, the battery life on this phone is phenomenal. It's not insane, so I mean, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but it was just a little more surprised with a phone with an outer display. I felt like the battery life was tremendous. Now, there was days I went crazy using it, and I looked at my battery, and I still have 50%. So it was very impressive. So it's got a small 3800 milliamp hour battery, and again, it's 30-watt charging and five wireless. It's not the fastest. I'm not a fan of that, but we're talking about the good. The battery life was impressive, and you can survive your day with this phone. It's not gonna die. I mean, it's impressive. So I was very surprised with the battery life on this phone, and I think you guys will too. So here, I'm gonna drop this picture of my most impressive day, 50% with all this gaming, YouTube. I mean, I was beyond impressed. So battery life, it's a very good thing about this phone. Now, the last thing that I got is about customization. That's my number one thing. It's so fun to play with this phone, and you're able to customize it however you want. I feel like they should add a couple more options down the road, but you're able to customize it, especially the outer display that is so much fun. You can put whatever you want up there, and it's so much fun. It gives you options to how the apps look, the calendar, what to add, the sizes. Is you choose how you want this phone to be. So I do wish it had a sound when you open and close it, but still, the fact that you can customize that however you want to your liking, it's super fun, and it just allows you to be you when it comes to using your phone. So very fun. I think if you guys get this phone, you're gonna have a blast with it. Have all your widgets, whatever you want. Play games, look at the weather. Really, really, really cool. So customization is probably the best thing about this phone, and it's so much fun. I think Motorola knocked it out of the park when it comes to that. So before I come to a conclusion, I have an honorable mention, and it's the camera. I think the phone has a pretty solid camera for a flip device. And you flip phones, anything like that, they usually don't have the best cameras. It's got a 12 megapixel wide in there, a 13 megapixel ultra wide, and I just really enjoy it. Now these pictures might be a little more processed than they're supposed to be, so it may not look as great. You know what YouTube does to videos and pictures, but pretty impressive. And you can use that main camera as a selfie because it, you can because you can, and it's just so much fun, and you guys can see nice details, and I thought at the end of the day it did a pretty good job for me. So it's just a nice honorable mention. You're able to record 40K by 30 and 60 fps 1080p, and 30 by 60 fps as well for 1080p. So very good camera. Again, I was just surprised that it did a good job, and if you want a point and shoot camera that does the job, this phone is it. I mean, it's not flagship level camera, but again, I was impressed that a flip phone was able to take care of me when I needed a picture. So that's a pretty good. That's a pretty good buy. Now, overall, I think this phone is so much fun, and I actually fell in love with the phone. So, my wife owns it now, so she's gonna have a blast with it. But there's bad things with it, and it's not perfect, and there's things that I just don't like. So, if you disagree with something that I'm not a fan of, you can drop it down in the comments below. But again, it's up to your opinion, and the bad is bad in my opinion. The good is good. But the phone, I give the phone like an 8 out of 10. It's so much fun. It really is probably the best flip phone out there. It performs really well. It looks really nice. It's so much fun. So, like I said, my wife's gonna have it. I'm gonna miss playing with it. It is what it is. And I also got to get it fixed. So, all right. Hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys are interested in this phone, I think you should get it. I think you should get it. If you want to wait for a discount, do the same thing. But it's so much fun. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Have a good one.